punch up our independent work time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to first show you a quick video of how you are narrating for the CFS. Oh, you did? Great. What were your takeaways from it? Thank you for watching beforehand.
Yeah. So, unfortunate that my time management, I was passing out graded work at the end of class, which is not what I wanted to do in the first place. So, I mean, the lack of real urgency I can see in the video. Like, I could have been moving much faster. I could have been doing two things at once, which was distributing and doing more narration, pen in hand, and just really making sure that I was helping kids with the checklist. Like, oh, you just hit this, right? You should check that off. Or like circling things where kids weren't meeting that.
You pulled out a lot of the stuff that I pulled out as well.
Yeah.
I think a quick hit question that I have when I was was like, what is our normal pass back of work routine? When in the class are you typically passing back the exit slips so that it doesn't disrupt?
I often am doing it during the do now, so kids are able to like finish their do now.
Cool.
Those fast finishers are able to take a look at their work, and that way they sort of like have a plan of like, oh, I didn't do well on context on yesterday's exit slip or last week's.
Yeah,
I'm gonna focus on that today. In my other two sections too, I usually have, you spin Brunton. It will be Tony to pass back those exit slips so that I can actually just focus on that. And in Kings, I don't have a co-teacher. Good morning.
Do you have any homework that I need to do?
Yes. Can you go to the SRR and find
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah.
So, the SRR has the homework for today. Just because I'm in the meeting, I can't get it right now.
Okay.
If you just ask Miss Ferguson, whoever's up there.
Okay.
Thanks,
feel better, please.
Feel
Have
better,
a good
please.
weekend.
Yeah.
I think, yes, that sounds great. The do now sounds amazing. I think one thing that you could do, if not Tony and like distributing work during the do now, is like assign it to one of your early finishers or one of the students to pass back so you can keep giving rapid feedback during that time. I still want to zoom in on and like take this video and this observation for like what it was. And focus on like how we're going to utilize that CFS though.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first I want to show you how you're kind of like narrating that incredible CFS that you put on the page, and then we're going to watch another quick video clip. This is, I believe, going into the exit slip. So as you watch, just notice what you're saying aligns with the CFS and what the narration is.
Yeah, he didn't have context. That's what's pushing him. Yeah. There's an affirmation opportunity there, yeah.
Great, so we're going to stop here. I want to show you one video from Apollo, from Voyager, okay? This is a 5th grade math classroom. They are about to release to a task. I want you to notice how they utilize the CFS both like before the task and during the class, and think about how that's like potentially different from what you're doing right now.
Rashawn is tracking. Joe has nothing in his hand. You're gonna have some time to work in partners to create your own content. Very exciting. Track the CFS in the top right corner of your paper. Olivia's tracking. Rondell is tracking. In the first 30 seconds of work, Mr. Tillman and I are coming around to see that you have made a margin note on your paper. Thumbs up. Tyler struck for alarm. Rashiva struck for alarm. Get 2.
Great, I'm going to zip ahead. I know. So they circulate and they give feedback aligned to that usage of simply just putting a margin down.
Team. So I need to track your most up here doing. We're coming around now to see that you have identified the correct key. In our INF,
Thanks,
that
please.
was 8, so now you're down to identify the correct intervals. We're coming out to check that.
Great. So then she says, we're coming around now to look for the second CFS, looking for intervals. What's the difference between what you did to set students up for the exit slips and what you're seeing here?
Yeah, so I said, use your CFS. And yeah, I think she draws specific attention to what the first thing they're going to be doing. And I like the idea of chunking out the exit ticket in a way that's great. You're writing one sentence. I'm going to check that. Writing a second sentence. Now I'm checking that too. Really just like not releasing completely because they're not quite all there yet, right? And the kids that I prioritize, the kids that I know aren't there. I guess my question is like, should I be adding a CFS just to exit tickets of like the annotating of the prompt, right? Because we see some kids doing it, some kids not. Whether kids find this helpful or not, as they're moving toward high school readiness, is like, it's a good habit. If you know it, do you need this? If it helps you build yourself into meeting the criteria, I love that you're doing it. Should I make it a requirement? And if I do, right, there needs to be extra time built in for that process.
Yeah, so I think you have a really good question here. To pull out first, what I think the action step here is, it's to like clearly use the CFS before releasing to students and naming what you are going to be looking for in each of your 2 laps. The first lap is procedural. I'm coming around to make sure that you've at this point attacked your prompt by circling keywords, just like on your CFS. Loop back to the front. Now I'm coming around in the next 60 seconds and making sure that you have strong context, which starts broad and moves to specific using our 5 W's. And then give rapid feedback aligned, okay? So naming the laps, broad, specific. Let's just zoom out for a second and then we can think about like what this is gonna look like in each part of the lesson. What would the impact be on your like rapid feedback scores on the essentials rubric if you were to like clearly name the CFS that you were looking for on each lab?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't think I really did a good job of embodying any of that criteria to score well on that rubric. So I think this will structure my lesson like just from the moment of like clearly stating the expectation, narrating what I want to see, and then like the actual marking of pages. Those are just like uptakes that need to happen right away.
I'm gonna grab the rubric. I do, Duncan, like fundamentally disagree that you didn't do well on any of them. I like fundamentally disagree.
Well, comparatively with our exemplar there.
You have like all of the information, like baseline needed to score really well here simply by having the CFS, okay? So if we were to move and clearly name the CFS and the before we were to enter the loop, we would score like at least a 3 because of this prime point, that especially during written lessons, students are receiving clear actionable feedback aligned to that work. Okay?
Okay.
So let's think about all the steps that we need to take to your question for each part of the lesson. When we think about the exit slip in particular, what are the steps that students need to take?
So I think it's adding the like attack the prompt as my first lap and like seeing clearly, and like that can correlate to the first bullet point here of the 5 W's. You should be adding that context as you attack the prompt. Quick margin notes. I think about like breaking out to like 2 sentences and, you know, using the language that you would use, like broad to specific, sort of that like funnel that we drew previously. Just given the space of like, you know, context sentence 1, you know, and given like more broad, setting the scene, context sentence 2, narrowing in, closing in on the prompt. I'll have to work on that language, but really focusing in and structuring the page so kids know I should always be looking at 1, 2 sentences to build to my third, which will be my argument, my
Great.
thesis.
So let's think, I think you started to say this, but I'm unclear of like what it would look like right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the attack the prompt CFS, what are those clearly?
Clear annotating of key terms.
Great.
And margin notes.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, so I believe this is the Monday lesson.
Internment lesson, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Monday.
Nice
and light.
What, I know, seriously. I went to, when I was in Santa Fe, one of the Japanese internment camps over break, which was interesting. I took some pictures. Yeah. It's so sad. It's sad because obviously they took it down, but there is barely a monument or acknowledgement in terms of like any kind of wrongdoing, and it's basically a token size, like literally like a token of acknowledgement of what was there. It's crazy. What would we see? How would we respond if students didn't meet the CFS that you just named for attack the prompt while giving rapid feedback here?
Yeah, I think I need to edit this and restructure the page. I think just even adding a little box here of attack the prompt, key terms annotated, margin notes made. That could be a check, or you didn't get it, an X. Setting that up before, kids, you will see an X on your page if you didn't do what you need to do.
Yep.
Not understanding the prompt is not going to set you up for successful exit tickets, so attacking the prompt always for everyone must be done. So doing that as my first quick 60-second lap,
yep.
And then breaking it down to, and again, I want to focus, I should modify the rubric again, to these 2, so we can focus on what we really need to prioritize.
So the second lap becomes then a conceptual one.
And focusing on the 5 W's here. Am I seeing that you are coming out with a few of those in a broad sense that's not answering the prompt?
Incredible. So, how are you saying that you want to reformat the CFS for context to make it more clear for kids?
I think just making it larger. I don't know, the checkboxes didn't translate formatting wise, but making sure that format there is an actual checkbox they can use. Mm-hmm. And I think putting sentence 1, rubric CFS, sentence 2 CFS, so they can actually do sort of the check for both as they go through it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Just make it easier on them.
Cool. Let's now think about another part of the lesson before we move on to thinking about the other work. When we think about the source reading that's happening, I noticed that these are primarily read independently. Mm-hmm. If you were to take the same action step of like, first lap is procedural, second lap is conceptual, what would that sound like for this part of the lesson? Yeah,
I've drilled that within 1 minute you should be able to source a document. In 60 seconds I'll come around. If you don't have a completed sourcing box, you're not following directions, you're not meeting the criteria. Especially with source lines this short, it should be very, very doable. I broke down again yesterday sort of point of view, purpose, and context, and like where to find them. Which is another like light bulb moment for some kids. Like it used to say point of view, author or speaker, purpose, title or content, right? And then context, dates. I put that off there because we had it, and now I think it needs to go back on the page.
To add the conceptual.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the first lap is literally like you have 1 minute. Your document must be sourced, and so you're looking for seeing some elements of notes here. How will you? And then your second lap, you're looking for procedurally hitting the CFS.
I think maybe just actually having them correlate, right? Circle 1 and label 1, 2, and 3 from the source line, right? And then you'll write in those components to add more detail to it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's just synthesize what during the lesson on Monday and Tuesday. What part of those lessons is it best for me to come and see you, naming the lap, procedural, then conceptual? I
think, starting with document analysis, we'll do, we're going to look at that video clip on Monday and look at define internment. So they will go into documents pretty quickly after that. I'd say